guys, it's Will with Hong Kong Cinema Appreciation Society, and I'm here today to talk very briefly. I'm not going to go into tons of detail on this because there are a lot of resources online you can already find about this, but if you're unfamiliar and you're interested, I'm going to talk about the differences between the original U.S. James Glickenhaus director's cut of The Protector and then the Hong Kong version for which Jackie Chan did a bunch of reshoots. So, and it's actually, and there's an interesting story that James Glickenhaus tells in his interview on this Blu-ray, where Raymond Chow, who ran Golden Harvest and was the producer of the film, the executive producer, wanted James Glickenhaus to actually come back to Hong Kong and do the reshoots himself because Jackie wasn't happy with how some of the fight scenes turned out, and he was like, "No, I'm not going to do that. Just have Jackie direct it. I don't really care." Just, I think his stipulation was you can't show it outside of Asia, and don't put my name on it. It was like something like that. So, and then he actually saw the reshoots, and in the interview he says he thought they were silly and stupid, and he didn't care for them at all. And he talks about how he likes, like, badass action like Bruce Lee. And he even, and this is kind of, I've talked about his interview before, it's pretty interesting. He says that he likes films where the violence has impact and makes you realize that violence is ugly. And he cites The Deer Hunter and Taxi Driver, which is, if you've seen this movie, a bit of a reach to compare it to The Deer Hunter and Taxi Driver, but obviously everyone has their influences, and if those are his influences, that's fine. But there's also, and I'm really just hyping this up because you should go and buy this because all this information and tons more is already, it's on this Blu-ray. 88 Films is the name of the company, but there's a side-by-side on here where like a film scholar shows on the left-hand side of the screen the U.S. version, on the right-hand side of the screen the Hong Kong version, talks about the differences. So I'm just going to give like really broad stroke differences. That's the stuff that kind of everyone will talk about that you'll see on like our Instagram comments and stuff like that. So there's a few small differences at the beginning of the film that's basically just pacing stuff. They speed up the shots in the Hong Kong film because James Glickenhaus really likes a deliberate pace, and he likes big establishing shots that give you like the flavor of the city. And the Hong Kong version, in some cases, just completely gets rid of the establishing shots, and in other cases cuts them down considerably, so they move a lot faster. And when you see it side by side, it's really noticeable. So what else is different about this? The boat chase on the river in the beginning of the film is like I think it's like a minute and a half shorter in the Hong Kong version, and basically they just cut out the kind of stuff that James Glickenhaus really likes, of like these big helicopter shots of New York, or these like big establishing shots of the boat speeding out to the river. And honestly, I like fast-paced martial arts films, but generally speaking, I like a deliberate pace in a film, and I like being able to live and breathe with the film and being able to really take in the ambiance and the environment. And so I kind of like a lot of the stuff that James Glickenhaus was doing more than I like what they did in the Hong Kong version. There's a subplot in the Hong Kong version that it's nowhere to be found in the U.S. version, with Sally Ye in it, and she's not in the U.S. version of the film at all. And she's like a dancer, and Jackie meets her, and they have a friendship, and there's like maybe some romantic possibility going on there. And then there's an extra fight scene where Jackie fights like two guys who are friends with her in like a gym. It's a pretty short scene. Other than the kind of whole added Sally Ye subplot, the major difference here comes in, well, two other major differences. There's a lot of nudity in the U.S. version, and that was taken out for the Hong Kong market. Some of it is done by simply cutting those scenes out or reshooting them, and that actually entailed rebuilding entire sets, which is a pretty strong dedication to getting rid of the nudity. But in other scenes, they do this thing where they have the shot that they want, and there's nudity in it, but it's peripheral to the shot, and so they just zoom in, basically, and they crop out the sides of the shot. And there's a couple of those in there that's pretty interesting. And then you have the final fight with Bill Wallace, who is, he's right here on the cover, and he was a champion kickboxer. He's very, very well known. And in the American version, it's not too long of a fight, and it's pretty aggressive and violent, and it like I said, James Glickenhaus really likes like that Bruce Lee style of just like hard hitting. Like he actually says in the interview he doesn't like the acrobatic aspect of martial arts. So in the Jackie Chan's films that he had seen before making this, he really disliked like the tumbling, the flipping, the stunts, like the kind of stuff that I think most people like Jackie Chan for, and that makes it kind of weird. I mean, obviously he was hired to do a job, and he did the job, right? And that's ultimately why this movie exists, and Golden Harvest had Jackie Chan as their star, and they were like, "You're going to be in this movie." Okay, fine, whatever, and everyone did their jobs. It's a little bit strange that he directed this film when he doesn't like the thing that Jackie Chan is so well known for doing and so good at doing. But the reshot version of the fight scene is a lot more, I think, what you would expect to see in a Jackie Chan film. This is not an action comedy, so you're not going to see like the Wheels on Meals type stuff. It's more like Dragons Forever, well, although in Wheels and Meals, like the final fight, obviously between Benny Urquidez and Jackie is like a serious like slugfest. I was thinking more about like the kind of more comedic stuff they do in that film. But Dragons Forever, that final fight scene in the factory, that's kind of what you're looking at in terms of like the choreography here and the brutality of it and stuff like that. So, and then those are really honestly the major differences. There's a lot of other small differences. I will include a link in the description of this video if you're watching on YouTube to a website that does a great job of breaking down like all the minute differences. Or like I said, if you want, just go buy this because it's less than $20 with the exchange rate from the UK as a Region B Blu-ray. So all of our friends in Europe and the UK can just go and buy this and watch this. If you're in the US, you'll need a region-free player or like I guess a Blu-ray drive that you can plug into your computer that can use region-free software. But my name is Will. You've been watching Hong Kong Cinema Appreciation Society, and we will see you next time.